All right, let's get right into it. We are talking about one of the most audacious, high-stakes frauds in modern history. It's an unbelievable story about a charismatic founder, a promise to change the world, and a lie that just got so big it swallowed everything in its path.
$9 billion with a B. I mean, can you even wrap your head around that number? Because at its peak, that's what a company called Theranos was supposedly worth. Its founder, Elizabeth Holmes, was everywhere. Magazine covers, TED Talks, hailed as the next Steve Jobs. She was, for all intents and purposes, on top of the world.
But here's the thing. From the very, very beginning, the people who actually knew what they were talking about, they weren't buying it. Even one of her own professors at Stanford saw right through the ambition and basically said she had no idea what she was doing. Talk about a massive red flag, right? A red flag that was completely ignored for over a decade.
And this number, this is what that $9 billion company was actually worth. A big, fat zero. Nothing. Zilch. Because the whole thing, the revolutionary technology that was going to change the world, it was all a lie. A complete and total fabrication. So you gotta ask, how on earth did it get so far? Well, let's rewind. The story kicks off back in 2003. We've got a 19-year-old Stanford dropout, Elizabeth Holmes, and she has this idea. An idea that honestly sounds like something straight out of science fiction. The promise she was selling was incredible. I mean, think about it. No more of those giant needles in your arm. No more giving away vials and vials of blood. No more waiting anxiously for days to get your test results back. Her vision was to run hundreds of tests on just a single, tiny drop of blood from your finger. This was about putting you in control of your own health information. And man, she sold that vision like it was a gospel. It was this powerful, almost utopian idea that was just irresistible. The media ate it up, the public loved it, and most importantly, some very, very wealthy people were completely captivated.
But look, a great idea alone doesn't get you nearly $1 billion. Holmes was smart. She knew that in Silicon Valley, the story you tell is everything. Perception is reality. So she didn't just sell an idea, she built a myth around herself as this visionary genius. And who was her blueprint for this myth? Steve Jobs. I mean, she didn't just admire him, she basically became him. The signature black turtleneck? Check. Hiring a bunch of former Apple employees? Check. She even, and this is wild, deliberately deepened her voice into this low baritone to sound more serious. It was all a performance, a carefully crafted image.
So step 2 in building the myth. If you don't have the science, you get the power. She built this incredible board of directors. I'm talking former secretaries of state, secretaries of defense. It was a who's who of Washington heavyweights. And the one thing they all had in common? Absolutely zero experience in medicine or science. They were just dazzled by her. And their names? Well, that was her shield of legitimacy. Her fundraising strategy was genius, in a devious kind of way. See, she stayed away from the sophisticated VCs, the ones who actually specialize in healthcare. Why? Because they ask hard questions. They would have poked holes in her story in about 5 minutes. So instead, she went after what one journalist called the dumb money. Super rich families who got swept up in the vision and just didn't do their homework. So that's the outside. Flawless PR, a rock star board, billions of dollars. But what was really happening behind those closed doors? Well, the reality was a whole lot of panic, desperation, and a really, really dangerous lie.
Okay, here's the gut punch. The technology, it never worked. Not even close. Their little magic box, the Edison machine, was basically a prop that gave crazy, unreliable results. So they cheated. They went out and secretly bought regular lab machines from other companies, hacked them, and ran the tests on those. And to make a tiny drop of blood work in a machine built for a whole vial, they diluted it, which made the results totally worthless and incredibly dangerous.
You're probably wondering, how did nobody find out? How do you keep a secret that big? The answer is simple. Fear. A complete and total culture of fear. Holmes and her partner, Sunny Balwani, ran that place like a police state. They read employee emails, pitted people against each other. If you even thought about questioning the technology, you were fired. Immediately. That paranoia was the glue holding the whole scam together.
And this is where it stops being just another story about money and hype. This is where it becomes a human tragedy. Because this wasn't just about tricking investors. They were giving fake test results to real patients. People were making life or death decisions based on data that was completely made up. It's just horrifying. But you just can't keep a lie that big under wraps forever. Eventually, it starts to crack, and a few brave people inside the company decided they couldn't live with it anymore. They knew the risk, but they had to do something. And when the end came, it came fast. After the tragic suicide of the company's chief scientist, two young employees, Tyler Schultz and Erica Chung, decided to become whistleblowers. And get this, Tyler was the grandson of one of the powerful board members. They risked everything to go to a reporter, John Carreyrou at the Wall Street Journal. And his reporting, well, it blew the whole thing wide open and brought that $9 billion house of cards tumbling down. And for these whistleblowers, it was pretty simple. They saw that the company was actively putting patients in danger, and they knew it just had to stop. Theranos came after them hard, with lawyers and private investigators, but they didn't back down. So, the story breaks, the world finds out it's all a scam. And what does Elizabeth Holmes do? Does she apologize, admit anything? Nope. She goes on national TV and doubles down. She claims this is just what happens when you're a revolutionary and powerful people are trying to stop you. She was playing the role of the misunderstood genius right up to the very end. The fall was just as spectacular as the rise. And the final act of this story didn't play out in a lab with some world-changing invention. It played out in a federal courtroom. And yep, the law finally caught up to her. The investor sued, the company had to void almost 1 million patient test results, and then came the indictments. Holmes and Belwani were charged with massive fraud. The whole thing came crashing down. And today, Elizabeth Holmes is serving over 11 years in federal prison. And how about this number? $452 million. That is what a judge ordered Holmes and her partner to pay back to the investors they duped for all those years. A truly staggering amount of money. But you know what's maybe the most telling part? Even now from prison, she still hasn't really taken responsibility. She said things could have been done differently, but she has never actually apologized to the patients whose lives she endangered. To this day, it seems like she still sees herself as the victim. And that's really the question this whole story leaves us with, isn't it? In a world that loves hype and a great story, how do we protect ourselves from the next Theranos? It's a huge cautionary tale about that fake-it-till-you-make-it culture. And it's a reminder that we all need to be a little more skeptical, especially when something as important as our health is on the line.